Hello, welcome to another edition of Mike's Tech. Today I have an unboxing and an overview video of the Xion 560-BK micro ATX computer case. So let's open it up and see what we got. Just a trick. Anyone that's opening cases, you ever take them out. Little ones like this is not a problem. But the big ones, you take them out, you gotta lift them all the way out of the box. That can be a problem. So the trick is opening them from the bottom. That's right, you heard me. It doesn't make sense initially, but you will see why in just a second. Just take it, put it up from the bottom. Now, take this case, flip it over after you open the flaps. And lift it off. Voila! You have your computer ready to go. Now this one actually was in on its side. So it didn't work perfectly, but normally this does, especially for larger cases. So take off the bottom styrofoam. It's good solid styrofoam here. Nice and thick. Not a big fan of styrofoam, but at least it's not peanuts and everything else. So it's good solid styrofoam. Should protect the case fine during transport. Take the other one off here. Set it up. Oops, there's the top. Sounds like we got a loose screw in there somewhere. Not unsurprising. And take the baggie out. There you go. And here is your 360-degree of this case. Overall, nice looking case. Alrighty. Now, and you see this is a micro ATX case. You have 3 5¼ bays, power and reset, front USB 2.0, USB 3.0, and microphone and audio front panel jack. There is. Let's see here, what else is there? You have to take these off up here from the inside. And for the side panel here, you've got ventilation holes. So you can add either a 200mm fan, a 220mm fan, or 480mm fans. Now, I would definitely not recommend the 480mm fans. It's going to be extremely noisy and not provide any usefulness as far as superior, shall we say, to a 200 or 220, especially when you take the noise into account. So I would definitely recommend, if you want a side panel, go with a 200 or a 220 on this and run it at low RPMs. Okay, get around here to the back. We have your cutout for the PSU, 4 expansion bays, one of which is removable and you can take out and put back in. The other 3 here, or once they're out, they cannot be replaced without getting your own slot cover. Excuse me, sorry. The top one is replaceable. Up top here we have your cutout for a 120mm fan, 2 grommets. Appear to be pretty firm grommets for water cooling if you want water cooling, although I will admit I don't expect people to want to water cool in a small case like this, especially external water cooling, because why would you spend $40 on a case and then spend a couple $100 on external water cooling? Just my personal opinion. You got your cutout for AIO as standard. On this side we have basically it's just your back side panel. It does have a nice little bow out here for extra cable management, and as you can see, it's got grating but no holes for fan mounting. You don't really need rear fan mounts. Some people like it lately to improve your cooling of the backside of the motherboard. I personally don't find that useful. On the top, you've got another hole for a 120mm fan for getting rid of heat. And let's go around on the bottom. You've got your cutout for your PSU, not your cutout, excuse me, your ventilation for the rear, for the PSU. And this appears to be a mount. Let me look at this again here. You could technically, it looks like, mount an 80mm fan here, although that would be awfully small. Yeah, you could put an 80mm fan here, technically. I personally don't see the need for it. Anyway, this case did come with two fans already, 120mm in the front and 120mm in the back. Sorry if I'm having a little trouble talking here. Let's see about getting the front panel off here. Well, let's take the side panel off first. It did come with thumb screws, that's nice. Oops. So, slide it off here. And this is actually pretty sturdy. It's well painted on the inside, I have to admit. It's very nice gloss black. Doesn't bow hardly at all. This is solid, very solid construction. I'm very pleased with it so far. So there's your side panel. Internally, now this is unique to this case. I don't think I've ever seen this with the other cases because I looked quite a bit. Oh, well, first of all, you do have your baggie here. Some zip ties, instruction manual, screws, speaker. I don't feel the need to take these out of the bag, but yeah, basically what you need to put everything together. Instruction manual. Where was I? Oh, sorry. You have an SSD mount here on the side. Now this is unique for this case. Someone tightened that down quite a bit. Someone tightened that down really good. Sorry about that. You have an SSD mount up here. You can just mount your SSD to this panel and put it right here. Now, so you don't have to have an adapter mount for your SSD. Instead of, like most cases in this price range, only have 3.5-inch mounts. This is a nice 2.5 mount. Just put it on your SSD right here and slide it in. Tighten your thumb screw, and you've got an SSD mount, and we are going to be utilizing that later when I do the build in this case. Okay, now, like I said, there's your rear 120mm fan, and you've got rails here, it looks like, for your, foldable rails for toolless for your hard drives. And instead of just being solely made based on flex and forcing you to flex these more than you should, in this particular case, these pop out. You can just put your hard drive in like that, as you can see, and just fit in and then slide in. I'm just going to go ahead and take the other one of these out. To release, there's two little clips here on the side, down here at the bottom. You just squeeze these little clips and it slides right out, and you slide it right back in. So you've got a total of two 3.5-inch mounts and a SSD mount, in addition to having four 5.25-inch drive bays internally. These are not toolless. They will need a screw, but they do have some nice grommets here to help reduce sound vibration for your DVD drive or Blu-ray, whichever you choose. Also, and I may get a close, I'm going to do a closer of this, I think. But also, if you inside here, yes, there is another mounting point in here for your 3.5-inch or 2.5-inch drive. I'm not sure which. Let's find out. This internal rail here is for the 5.25, so technically this case would have two 5.25s and a 3.5-inch here. You cannot really mount the other 5.25 in this bottom bin. And let me take the front panel off here now, and I'll show you what else we got. This doesn't want to come off. Just one second. There we go. See, it's on there pretty good. You have said your internal 3.5 inch. I mean, excuse me, 5 1/4 inch base. You just have a little tab here, and if I can get it out, there we go. Oops. Don't like to come out, but that's actually good. They shouldn't break very easy. So just squeeze on both sides. Yeah, these are pretty firm. Okay, there you go, and you can get that removed and put your drive bay in. And you do have a filter here. You do have a filter here you can wash out or clean out. It does not appear to be easily removable. It's kind of thick actually. It has little tabs you can bend, but I wouldn't recommend that. It would be easier just to rinse it off and dry it off, put it back on, frankly. So yeah, you do have front filter for your air intake. That is excellent. Put these back on. Put this back in. So I'm not done with it yet. And over here on the side, on the front, excuse me. Now, something I'm very pleased to find out is all of your front connectors are mounted to the case instead of being connected to this front panel. That's very good, so you don't have to worry about pulling wires and so forth. And as you can see, you still have got your two USB 2 3.0 power reset. Power reset. 2 additional mounts. And as I was talking about here, this is obviously a 3.5 inch bay. Now that does bring up a good point. This tray here, this bottom one, appears to only have an adapter for the 5 1/4 in the front. So, I think we have a problem with the case that isn't a major problem, but something that needs to be addressed, Xion. Your 5 1/4 bay adapter, if I was to pop this out, and I will say these are not the easiest to pop out, but I do like that because I'm not so worried about breaking them, because that means this plastic is really stiff and really sturdy. That's something I can say. The quality of construction is pretty good. But if I was to put this back on, as you can see, big gaping hole. You should have an adapter for a 3.5 inch if you're gonna make that a 3.5 inch bay there. I wonder if that was an oversight. I'll have to read the manual on that. Matter of fact, let's do that right now before we go any further. Because I don't want, if I've got something I shouldn't have, I need to know it and need to contact Xion. I mean, I do like it, don't get me wrong, I love the uniform look here. It looks nice, but we need that. So I wasn't going to open up the baggie, but now we are. So I'm going to look and see the instruction manual real quick. It does, it's a very minor instruction manual actually. That doesn't address it at all. So that is something to take note of. If you are going to put a 3.5 inch drive in this case, you may have a little bit of an eyesore going on. Now, they may sell an adapter on their website, but I'm overall disappointed in that. That's the first negative I can actually say about this case. You really should have that. Definitely should. Anyway, sorry about that. That was not something that was on the website when I looked at the case or anything. So, something definitely to consider. Anyway, and here's, like I said, your front panel, your front 120 millimeter fan. Yeah, and this is a blue LED fan. I will, when I do the complete build, show you what that looks like. That should be at the end of this video. But an additional hole for routing, I guess. While we're at it, let's go ahead, before we go over the, well, let's go ahead and go over the internals, I guess. So we have, internally this rear fan is mATX, so you plug that directly into your PSU. You could get a mATX to 3-pin adapter if you want to plug this into your motherboard, which, being only 2 fans, I would recommend, if at all possible. That way you could have more control over your fan, your volume. You know, you may not need it all. Okay, this is a bit better overview of the inside of the case now, as you can see. This is the SSD mount I was referring to. I'm just unscrew it, as I was saying. Slide it out. Mount your SSD right here. Put it in. Slide it back in. And because of where it's located, you should have absolutely no issues with cable management, because it'll be more or less hidden, which is always good. Everyone likes hidden cables. And these are the 2 drive rails I was talking about down here. Sorry if you couldn't see them before. I just want to go over it again real quick. You can go over them. Drive rails, like I was saying, you squeeze this part here and these just open out. I actually like that much better than the bendy kind. We have to bend them really far, because this should provide more stability. And you got, like I said, 2 of those. These are the grommets I was referring to for noise, vibration, and I'm just going to go ahead and give you a close overview of these cables, just for your own sake. Like I said, USB 3.0 with a 2.0 adapter, your front USB connector, internal connectors, HD audio with AC97. So now you can see that a little better, and as you can see also, internally, this case has some internal cable tie down points. You have 1, 2 here at the bottom to help you tie down any cables you need, and mounting points. It also came with pre-installed mounts for your case, for your motherboard, excuse me. So you don't have to put those in. I like that. It's very nice. Additional thumb screws on the back side. Very nice. I like the fact that they included all 4 thumb screws. That's very good for getting in and out of the case quickly. Slide that off. This is also very, very sturdy. It doesn't feel cheap at all. I'm very pleased with the build quality on this case, I have to say. Overall, got rolled edges. I'm not going to cut myself hardly at all building with this, so I'm very pleased. Very, very pleased. Anyway, this is the back. You don't really have much room here for cable management. I'll be really honest here, if it wasn't for this cutout. But because they put this cutout in, when you match it up, put it back on there, you end up with basically this whole area for your cable management. So that's actually really nice. Now, so when you match this up, you can see where you're going to have room for cable management. So you will get a decent amount of room in this area for cable management, and it does. Anyway, it does have. Because of this side panel, the way it being bowed out like this, it does create a good amount of room for cable management, and I have to admit, I like that in such a small, inexpensive case. Anyway, onto the back side of this case, and I'm going to zoom in on this, I'm sure, but you do have a good bit of tie downs here. You've got multiple tie down points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tie down points in the rear for various cables, major hole for your PSU, multiples for the top, and a nice large cutout. And as you can see, if you look through here, this it gets a little higher here at the top, and I'll have to experiment, but I'm guessing you can run your 4 or 4+4 through here into your motherboard, so you don't have to run it through the bottom, and that's going to be real nice. I'm going to like that. Again, additionally, grommets for anti-vibration, and the backside you can plug in your I/O for your hard drives. Okay, I'm going to zoom in here now, if you will indulge me for just a minute, and you can get a much closer view of this case. Okay, I just want to do a little closer view here. Now you can see what I was talking about. Sorry for the glare. Sun happens to be going down right now. But as you can see, you've got multiple tie-down points externally on the back, and nice cutouts, rounded edges. That's good. This is what I was talking about right here. I don't know if you could see it in the other video, but it does have a nice angle here for you to be able to fit your cable through. One other thing I wanted to note, and I forgot to mention on this case, is it does the length. How big of a graphics card can you fit in? According to Xion, you can fit a 330mm or 13-inch graphics card in here, which should handle just about anything you want to put in, especially a small case like this. So, and that should be about it. Feel free to ask me any questions you like about this case. I will be completing the build in it, and you'll see that in just a minute at the end of this video. But it's a very good case for the price, especially. Oh, something I did forget. You do have some small rubber pads here. They're not really thick, but they should help reduce vibrations as well. I like that. Everything you can get that's extra is great. I didn't specifically go with this case because it seemed to be the best choice for the money for this current build that I'm doing, and so far I'm very pleased. It's a nice case, solid construction. Just that one issue I talked about. Okay. So one other thing I just want to point out is I went ahead and moved the hard drive to the secondary cage. There's a secondary cage mounting point for the hard drive. It's right here at the top of the two 3.5-inch drives. So there's a 2.5 mounting point here, and I went ahead and I put that in down here. I thought it would be more aesthetically pleasing initially, and also this SSD mount. I thought it would be easier if anyone ever wanted to add another SSD to the system to use this. So this was a little easier, and it just makes everything easier for everyone. But it does mount here, so this case again does mount two SSDs, unlike the instruction or the manual and all the sites say it only has one SSD dedicated mount. It lists a total of 3 SSDs. Technically, you can mount 2 hard drives and 2 SSDs in this case. So I just wanted to make that very clear. So you get a total of 4 drives on this case, which is pretty nice for a little ATX case. Micro ATX case. And that of course doesn't include your 2 your 2 optical disk drives. And technically, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, you can mount 5. You can mount 2 hard drives down here in the trays, 2 SSDs, and there's another mounting point up here for a 3.5-inch that I mentioned before in my case overview. And that one, it would actually be better to mount another hard drive up here because it will, since there's no front adapter on this. Anyway, that's it. This case is good to go. I'm going to just give you a little better overview of it real quick since the angle is not perfect. And that'll be it. I will... One thing I just want to add here at the end, now like I said, I did not do much cable management on the back. I didn't tie down the cables, so it should be easier once I do that to get the rear side panel on. But there is, even though there is a bow out on the back, it is honestly, to be fair, barely enough room for your 24-pin cable, which is really thick. Everything else I definitely would recommend laying beside it. And also, just due to that, if you can afford a modular power supply, I might recommend it, just due to the size of the case. But otherwise, it was still okay. I'm really overall still very pleased with this case, especially for the price, for $40. This is a lot of case for $40.